Surprise, surprise, we've got changes inbound. Yeah, that's right. No sooner do I put a preview of the Salem out, the World of Warships blog, the dev blog, has gone and messed things up. Well, they haven't messed things up, but there have been some significant changes, not only with the Salem, but the Roma and the Duke of York. So I'm going to get into those real quick, and then I'm going to delve into a bigger issue, a trend that I'm seeing with Wargaming, and it's not a good trend, not good whatsoever. So I'm going to provide some constructive criticism for Wargaming and try to help things out, or at least in my opinion, help things out. So first and foremost, Salem, what are the changes? Well, the surveillance radar, according to the site, the consumable was changed and now has the following stats: 20-second duration, 7.5 kilometer detection range, 180-second cooldown, 2 charges. And for those of you that are quite befuddled right now, that is actually a nerf on its radar. That is not the tier 10 Des Moines radar that we all know and love. That sets it back a little bit. Now, on the other hand, another change is with the repair party. 20-second duration, 120-second cooldown, 2 charges. This might indicate that this is a super heal. There you have it. Two things right there. One big nerf and one big buff. I can see the reason they did this because, as I previewed, the Salem just was not that much different from the Des Moines. There was nothing that set it apart. It was very much a clone, minus about 1,000 hit points and 12 Orlikon anti-aircraft guns. So this sets it apart, but you're getting crappy radar and possibly similar to Royal Navy Super Heal. That makes for an intriguing change right there. It gives it a little more brawling capability at the expense of destroyer hunting ability. Don't know how I feel about that, but I can't wait to play it because I do love the Des Moines and Salem. Moving on to the Roma, we all know what has happened to the Roma. This has been a fairly large debate in the community. The Roma Sigma is being lowered from 1.9 to 1.8. As per the website, 1.8 is the normal value for Tier 8 battleships, and it will allow the Roma to take an appropriate place in the balance hierarchy. This is a nerf, though I know a lot of people are upset and they're saying they're not going to buy the Roma, yada yada yada. 0.1 Sigma is not a huge nerf at all, and for the average player and even the above average player, even for most Unicum players, you're probably not going to notice a slight nerf of 0.1 Sigma. It's just not that big of a deal. That brings up another question. Why are they even changing it? Why are they lowering it from 1.9 to 1.8? I feel that the Roma handled fine. I enjoyed the Roma. Yes, a lot of people have complained about its concealment being better than even most cruisers, but I think that was fine because the guns had a lot shorter range. It put the Roma in a situation where it had to brawl up close, using its armor to either stay in the fight or try and bow tank and back up to get out of the fight. I feel the ship was fairly balanced. I don't know why they did this. I just really don't, because it's not like the gun dispersion was great on this ship to begin with. So there you have it. That's the change to the Roma. Now, last but not least, the Duke of York has gone through significant changes, and this was the most interesting battleship that I think has been added to the line, just because it had no heals, but it had defensive fire. I mean, it was really oddball, very quirky. It wasn't a horrible ship. I did fine in it in the rounds that I played in, put up some fairly good damage, but there have been significant changes, and the Duke of York that they've changed it to is not the Duke of York you know. Sigma was reduced from 2.05 down to 1.8. That is a huge nerf right there. Increased rudder shift time from 15 seconds to 17.5 seconds. It doesn't have great handling anymore. Fire duration has been increased from cruiser duration of 30 seconds. It now has 60-second fire duration. Another big nerf there. I mean, the damage party has been removed, the cruiser damage party. It's now got normal battleship damage party because it has heals now. That's right, it's got heals. The defensive fire was removed, and the Duke of York now has heals. Really, what has happened to the Duke of York is they have turned it into a battleship. a straight-up battleship. And not a really good battleship at that. In my opinion, they have taken anything appetizing about the Duke of York, that uniqueness, they've just turned it into a run-of-the-mill battleship, not even better than, you know, anything out there right now. I don't like this move, and I know a lot of people were upset that the Duke of York didn't have heels on it. A lot of people felt that, you know, maybe it was too significant of a departure from your normal battleship, but I kind of liked it. You know, we're going to throw in the term gimmick. Gimmick has been used a lot. Duke of York's gimmick was that it had defensive fire and no heels. In my opinion, gimmicks can be okay if they're used in a unique way or a different way, in a good way. And for the Duke of York, I felt that this was kind of cool. I still felt it was missing something, and maybe giving it just one heel might have helped it, because I think its long-range survivability would have been an issue, especially in Tier 8 battles, you know, where ships know what it is and can focus fire it, set it on fire, and there's no chance for it to repair itself. But this is just a huge departure from what it was. I mean, they've taken it something unique and turned it into something that's, in my opinion, from what I can see, not going to play well at all. And this leads me into the constructive criticism portion. You know, the part that I hope Wargaming listens to. Just please, Wargaming, listen up right now. Look, it used to be that we got ships, or at least as testers and community contributors, that were pretty close to being done. But over time it shifted to where we're getting these ships that, you know, we're putting out reviews, we're rushing to get reviews out, and, you know, some of the community contributors make money off their reviews, lots of money, and they rely on that. And, you know, it's a rush to get the stuff out, be the first one, because you want to get those views and everything else. And what you put out is significantly different from the final product. And it puts us in a position where we've got to either go back and do another review, or, you know, we have to apologize to the community, like the German destroyer debacle that most of you probably remember. And it not only puts us in a bad position, I mean, I really don't care about the us part. You know, I'm not relying on these videos for anything. Just not. But it puts Wargaming in a bad position too. And I don't understand why they're doing it this way. I don't understand why there's a rush to get these ships out and, you know, have you all know the stats and us know the stats for these ships, because just about every single one of them has changed as of recently. And not for the better. Not for the better at all. So, you know, it's almost a situation where reverse hype is being built for these ships. And, you know, we're starting the hype with, you know, a good base, and then these tweaks, these huge tweaks are coming that nerf the ship, that change it in a way that the community doesn't like, and the hype dissipates, and you've got people saying, well, I'm not opening my wallet for these ships anymore. I mean, you're decreasing the sigma on the Roma for 1.9 to 1.8, or you're making the ship something that I don't want it to be. Giulio Cesare is another example of that. So why Wargaming has elected to take on this business model is beyond me. It just is beyond me. I don't get it. It does not make sense from a business perspective. I'm looking at this as a business perspective. You know, if it were me, it would make a lot more sense to give us the ships, give either the community contributors, or maybe not even give them to us until they've been finalized, and say, you know, look, here are the ships, subject to change, play them, do videos on them, but don't go into the stats or anything huge. Don't say anything about the stats. And I would actually advise Wargaming not to release the stats on these ships. And I know they have issues because it gets data mined, and you know, you've got entities out there that get this information and pretty much leak it, which is unfortunate, but I would neither confirm nor deny any of that information, and just say, hey, look, the Roma is coming out. It's coming out soon. And if you do give it to super testers and community contributors, you know, we'll just play the ship. Hey, watch my gameplay of the Roma. I'm not saying squat about it. You'll have to wait till it comes out. That enough will get the hype up. That is enough to get the hype up for a ship. But when you start throwing around values and statistics and everything else, and, you know, we have a ship that we think is good, and all of a sudden, you know, that changes, and then we have to retest the ship, that's where you start losing the community. That's where you start putting the community in a situation where they start losing faith in the decisions because they're seeing something drastically different than what's coming out. And the Duke of York is a huge example of that. You know, while some people might have been interested in the ship off the gameplay they saw and the unique characteristics, now, you know, you see these dev notes and how much it's changed, and that this ship is just going to be a straight up normal battleship with nothing that sets it apart, and not even a great battleship based upon the statistics. And the community just really says, hey, you know what? I'm not even spending money on this ship. This is just a steaming pile of whatever. So, you know, Wargaming, if you're listening, if you're listening, my business advice here would be, you know, keep things under wraps until you know what the final product's going to be. And once you have that final product, then say, hey, talk about this ship as much as you want to talk about it, because it's not changing. It's releasing in 1 week. 1 week it's coming out to the public. Get the hype out. You know what? The stats are not changing. The ship's not changing. Everybody's happy. Everybody's happy. I just don't like these changes that happen after we've seen a ship for a month or so. It just doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. You know, I like the Roma. I think the Roma's going to remain a good ship. Same with the Salem. You know, these changes aren't so big. But the Duke of York, these changes are huge. And there's other ships and ship lines that the changes have just been so gigantic that it really doesn't make sense to release the ship, have everybody talk about the ship, have everybody talk about the stats, and then just yank it back. It just doesn't make sense. And again, I'm gonna use the term reverse hype. You're building hype, and then through these changes, you're squashing hype. And from a business model, that does not make sense. It would be better to build hype through showing a ship, not necessarily the stats, and then releasing the stats when you know 100% these stats are not going to change one single iota. And by doing that, you regain the community's faith. You regain their hype in these ships, because you're not taking away anything. You're not taking away anything before release, and you're not giving a person a reason to say, you know what, this ship was A, now it's Z, and now my wallet's closed. So those are just my thoughts on that. Anyhow, guys, thanks for watching. Be interesting to see how these changes play out. Stay tuned. And if you like the video and my content, blah, 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 like, sub, retweet, all that good jazz. Thanks for watching. I'm out.